Asics GT-2000 V4. So let's start with the upper. They've changed a lot on the upper with this shoe. The heel counter has been redesigned a little. It's still not super intrusive and it adds extra support in there as well. I'm a fan of it. I like what they've done and keeps my foot locked in there really nicely. Next up is the material they use for the upper. The main thing is a new mesh. It's now lighter and more breathable. Before, it's kind of outdated, that heavy mesh that's not very breathable. Now I think the shoe just looks a lot more modern. With that modern look, Asics also did away with a lot of the sewn-on overlays. In the past, the GT-2000s have just had a lot of sewn overlays all over it. This year they decided to go on they decided to make it a lot less seamless by adding some heat applied overlays on to give it some extra sturdiness, yet cut out a lot of weight and not have any annoyance rubbing on you. To help get rid of the seams also, they added a new TPU enforced kind of netting on the saddle part of the shoe right here. So it's going to be extremely breathable, a lot lighter, and just be more rigid as well without having all those overlays. Another thing they've added is on this shoe, the orange color adds some sturdiness to the shoe, but it also goes up and attaches to the eyelets where the shoelaces go, so it provides a better fit, more of a custom hug to the top of your foot. So I loved what they did to the upper on this shoe. I felt like it was a lot more open, a lot less seamless. There wasn't a lot of weird things wrapping around. Definitely a lot more comfortable, a lot more breathable. What they did with the laces on the saddle here, I felt it was a really great improvement. Moving on to the midsole, they didn't change much here. They still use two different foams and gel. What they did though is rotate the angle that the gel is placed. So on previous models, your foot comes in contact with foam and then gel and then more of the foam. And then this year, they rotated that so your foot comes in contact with more of the gel, and what this does is provide better shock absorption, and it also helps guide your foot if you strike on the outside like most people tend to do, kind of rock you back in and go for a nice toe off. They keep with the medial posting here because this is a support shoe, provides great amount of support, but you don't necessarily feel the support, mainly due to this black layer of foam here is softer, a little spongier, and then that transitions into the denser foam, and then down to their trussing system, which adds more sturdiness to the bottom of the shoe, prevent it from moving around, keep your foot locked in there. Just a different way of adding support that's a little less noticeable, and I personally like how they feel. It's definitely a supportive shoe, but not noticeable. You don't feel super stiff, hard thing poking the side of your foot. So this does have gel on the forefoot as well, which helps absorb some shock. It provides a little bit more responsiveness to the shoe. I wouldn't say it's pillowy, but it's definitely got cushion. With the gel, it does add a little bit of weight, but it's worth it for doing longer runs, especially on asphalt and pavement, just because it absorbs some of that shock. So the outsole of the shoe hasn't changed too much either. Still has that guidance line to help with your gait and overpronation issues. The tread on all of my Asics shoes has been very good. I've had no problems with it. I mean, it's aggressive enough that you can do some easy trails on it and last you a little bit longer on the pavement. I feel like a lot of companies nowadays have been kind of neglecting the outsole rubber, and I feel like the shoes get worn out a lot quicker. They don't get as good traction, but definitely like what Asics doing here. I feel like with the mixture of their durable outsole and their gel cushioning, I feel like I just get more miles out of their shoes than some of my other shoes. So this is definitely a great update to one of my favorite shoes. Definitely makes it even more enjoyable. Definitely a nice modern update. I think Asics needed this update maybe a couple years ago even. I'm very happy with this update. Glad that the GT-2000 is still a great shoe. They know what they've done right, haven't changed that. What they needed to work on, they've addressed it, changed it. I'm very happy with this upper. The only complaint I'd say I'd really have is the tongue. So they shortened it a little bit from last model, and I use the extra eyelet in the back, and it just feels like there's not enough room between the laces in my ankle. Sometimes the tongue can kind of slip down. It's just a little con I have. Other than that, I've been really pleased with this shoe. Definitely recommend it.